and I appreciate the care and attention by everyone in this chamber. This resolution I drafted yesterday, and by yesterday afternoon we had virtually every single member of this body co-sponsor this resolution to give a clear message to the National Guard leadership in Washington, D.C. that the conditions on the ground of our service members is completely and totally unacceptable. For weeks, we have had 1,000 Michigan National Guard soldiers on assignment in Washington, D.C. at our nation's capital. Several weeks ago, we heard reports of food that was served raw or undercooked, meals that were left for hours before they were served. They were prepared hours ahead of time and left out and then served much later. And the troops were complaining about meals that were completely and totally unedible. And I'll admit to you, when I first heard that troops were complaining about chow, I thought it was another day in the Army. But these complaints have actually risen much higher than that. I was telling the members of my caucus a moment ago that there's a triangle of morale in the Army. And those three factors are pay, mail, and food. And we can control those three things to enhance and improve the morale of the troops. The food is completely unsafe and unedible. It's been raw and undercooked more than once. We were assured several weeks ago that this issue had been addressed and was fixed. I appreciate the efforts of the leadership in the Guard and the governor to communicate with the Secretary of the Army the concerns that we had. We were promised that this was corrected. And then on Sunday, we saw that unfortunately our troops were served raw hamburgers again, and another one of my colleagues showed me a picture of someone who found shards of metal in their food. Members of Congress who are in Washington, D.C. represent the most elite members of our society. And I have never in my life heard of a member of Congress getting served raw meat in D.C. before. And our troops shouldn't be left to suffer under this type of treatment. We ought to be treating them with respect and dignity that they deserve, and we ought to be back paying them for the out-of-pocket expenses for the meals that they've had to purchase, and we ought to give them a meal stipend each and every day that they're on duty. I want to also add that I'm grateful to the governor to bring home our troops next week. I think this is long past overdue at this point. Their mission is complete, and it's time to welcome them back home. Thank you, Mr. President.